All right. Thank you, everyone. So, good morning again to those who are here in person. We have a little over a dozen or so here in Adams House and Princeton, and we have at least a couple dozen um, joining online. My name is Casey Choi, and I am a professor of Asian American theology and Christian ethics here in the theology department at Princeton Seminary. I want to welcome all of you here in person and those on AirMeet to the Race and Asian American Christian Discipleship Workshop, which will be led by Dr. Greg Lee, Jen Blue, and Ming Yamako Nagasawa. I'm very much looking forward to this workshop, partly because Asian American parents, or um, maybe more broadly, Asian American parenting is certainly not immune to the kind of problematic pressures that America's unique racial dynamics imposes on all communities. As Asian Americans, we're all too familiar with the trope of the tiger mom and even tiger dad, which is to say, the kind of parent that demands from their children nothing short of perfect SAT scores, elite college degrees, proficiency in multiple languages, classical music virtuosity. This is one area that I failed my mom in particular, and lucrative careers. Well, I failed my mom in this too, and lucrative careers in medicine, law, finance, or big tech. This tiger parenting trope, of course, is a function of what many refer to as our white adjacency, which itself is a product of the post World War II and Cold War goal of making Asian Americans more like heteronormative white Christian American communities, ready and able to partake in the emerging US led financial capitalist order. But it's also important to keep in mind that this tiger parenting vision is something that many Asian Americans have also perpetuated by embracing it, living into it, and maybe even excelling in it. This has had enormous negative consequences, especially for our children. All we have to do is to be serious about suicide rates among Asian American kids. Teen suicides is not just a white problem, as well as eating disorders, as well as a number of other anxiety related health issues. These are Asian American problems as well. And we should not forget that our embrace of the tiger parenting trope has played a role to a degree in the recent Supreme Court banning of affirmative action in college admissions, something that we seem to not want to talk about out loud. All of this raises at least two sets of questions that I think we do well to keep in mind as we go through today's workshop. The first set of questions is this: why do so many of us, intentionally or not, perpetuate the tiger parenting trope? Maybe, as the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr put it, it's because we are inherently selfish and thus competitive. Or maybe it's because of larger social forces at play, for example, economic precarity. But if the root of the matter is worry over our economic security, then as Asian Americans, we need to ask why we live in an economic system that makes individual merit, individual achievement, affluence, and the constant accumulation of things and wealth the key to human flourishing. What is our responsibility in trying to change the insidious side of America's economic system and policies? And now to the second set of questions. How should we as Asian American Christians respond to the challenging task of parenting? Of course, we will need at least to start thinking about how scripture provides models for the Christian life and perhaps what it means to be a family. But in doing that, we need to be mindful that scripture does not provide a lot of good family role models. Adam and Eve, I guess, as the first parents, produced some problematic children, Cain and Abel, for those of us who remember. One might even say that Mary and Joseph hardly provided any substantive guidance on what parenting should look like. Jesus almost seemingly raised himself, if you take the Gospels at their word. And then there's, of course, Christians in Corinth as a model of Christian family. But Christians in Corinth were sort of a disaster, bickering and divided. Now, this is why Paul had to write so many letters to them. All of this is to say, as a number of theologians, both feminist and otherwise, have suggested, there may not be a single normative vision of the family in the Bible. That we should not, perhaps, expect a single normative vision of the family in the Bible. For the fact of the matter is that whatever family means in Scripture, it is one that recognizes radical plurality and the central importance of unrequited love for the other, not just for one's own kin, but also the kin of others. Thus, if we are intent on living lives of biblical faithfulness, then we may very well need to let go of what we think or what we insist on thinking it means to be a good parent, a good child, and a good family. Relinquishing control and working for social justice may be the keys to faithful parenting, of being a family that reflects the image of God.